Welcome, everyone, to today's broadcast of Kingdom Keys to Business Success. I'm so excited to introduce to you today's speaker, Anthony Michael Russo. Anthony is an MC, keynote speaker, and a speaker coach, and the crowd hype host for Fox Big Noon Kickoff. He's also the host of Daily Truth podcast and inspires those to use their voice and share their story to unlock the keys to life. We're so happy to have you here today, Anthony. It's just a great pleasure to have you on the show. And, we would just love to hear a little bit more about your journey into entrepreneurship and how God led you into this.
Absolutely. Natalie, you forgot one thing in the byline. Best mustache in the
Oh,
business.
yeah, there
I
it
don't
is.
know
Oh, it was
if
right there.
see last line in there. Yeah, so I have been blessed to know that the gift that God gave me was the ability to speak. I probably knew it from a very young age, but I embraced it as I went on, and as somebody that went to art school, got a graphic design major, and had no idea that I'd end up on camera in front of different groups or Cowboy Channel or in front of 50,000 people or 80,000 people at the Georgia Dome. It just was a natural
Wow.
progression that really started in the 2006 area, I guess, when I took a little job for 12 bucks an hour and met a group of guys that were like, "Hey, you're a lot of fun. Do you want to go on the road with us for this thing called Spirit of Champions Tour?" And that's where my speaking career began. And as I've gotten older and as I push further, I've started to realize that my talent is definitely something that has allowed a lot of doors to open for me in a lot of ways to meet great people. And
Yeah.
now I make a living out of having fun on Saturday mornings with college kids. And I fuel my passion with helping people find their story and find their voice, and realize that no matter if you're 20 years old or if you're 73 years old, there's a certain point where when you are able to unearth your stories and your voice, that it just kind of unlocks this next level of joy in your life.
Yeah, that's amazing. I feel like it's semi rare to kind of know from an early age. A lot of people kind of do different things and then stumble in, but you just always had this skill. Did you think you were going to do anything else?
No, I mean, I thought I went to school. I mean, we're in that mindset. It's like you go to school for something, you become it.
Yeah.
And I quickly knew in college the reason my grades were decent in graphic design were not because I was a good graphic designer. It's because I was able to articulate my work. But as you'll see, since I know I'm going to see you on my podcast, you'll learn a little bit of my backstory. But the story goes, when I was a kid, I was talking to myself in the mirror, and my mom started to get concerned because she heard me doing the Michael Buffer. If you know who Michael Buffer is, you know, the Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
Yeah.
And she yelled down the stairs. She's like, "Hey, Anth, is one of your friends here?" And I'm like, "No, no, just me." So she cut some hours with work thinking that she should be concerned. And then here we are today, where I literally do that every weekend. so
Yeah.
so no, I mean, I had a feeling that I would use my voice because I loved the ability to talk. I just loved the idea of entertaining people one way or another. I just didn't know that it was going to make such a fast shift from 2004 graduating from art school to
Yeah.
then 2005, 6 going into this industry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. And do you feel like it was a smooth transition into teaching others how to speak? I mean, you're a good speaker, so sometimes you're just born with it. But how did you learn then to go back and figure out storytelling and figuring out all the techniques and then what holds people back and all that you teach now?
That is a more intricate question. So I will tell you, as an MC, and I just got off the phone before you and I started this, and I was talking to a guy about MCing. And MCing is a weird thing where it's like there's certain elements that can be taught. You can be taught to become a better MC, but for those that don't know what an MC is, it's the host, it's the person that makes an event go from point A to point Z. It introduces speakers, introduces talent, also entertains the crowd.
Yeah.
There is a high level of situational awareness that I think is it's just kind of, some people are built with it, some are not. So I'm thankful that I have that ability. At the same token, I can tell you everybody can become a good or great speaker. There's a difference. Not all great speakers are great MCs. And in the
Mhm.
last, I don't know, 7 years, because I've always just been an event MC, but about a year and a half before COVID, I decided that I wanted to write a book and I wanted to be a keynote speaker. And it was all from a place, interestingly enough, I come from a father that was a compulsive gambler. And I never had that bone in my body, but I got really into the stock market, which when you're doing it the way that I was doing was very similar to gambling. And one day I lost $7,300 in about an hour. And I was like, time to pump the brakes.
Yeah.
And I started to step back. I go, what did I want to do with my life? And if you had asked me a long time ago, and you asked this kind of earlier, if I had all the money in the world, what would I be? And I always used to say a motivational speaker. I love the idea of being Tony Robbins. So I'm like, am I going to
Mhm.
pursue this stock thing, or am I going to get more into speaking? And I buried myself into like a manifesto on what I wanted to talk about, and using my dad's gambling style as a way to live life. And I got really into mindset building. I got
Mhm.
just started into keynoting, and then COVID hit. And during COVID, uh, the gigs dried up for speakers, MCs, everything.
Yeah.
And as we came out of it, I entered a contest where I met some of the people that work with me now, and it was with Pete Vargas and Grant Cardone, and it was the Great American Speak Off.
Mhm.
And we got into these. We got out there, and I was one of the finalists, top 100 out of 5,000 people. Flew to Florida, competed, and started a little mastermind. And in that mastermind, we had a bunch of very talented speakers, obviously top 100 out of this contest, and they started to come to me because I was having trouble getting clients and figuring out clients for mindset coaching, because the people I felt as though I should be working with were high net worth, which were higher than me. And there just wasn't that authentic connection, I think, coming from
Mhm.
me. I'm not a salesperson in that sense. And
Yeah.
although I could help them, there was something missing. But what I know I'm good at is helping people find their voice and find their story and how to speak. So I'm having this group of really good speakers that are, after we have this fun group mastermind based on my critiques and help and constructive criticism, they're coming to me and they're like, "Can you help me with this? Can you?" I'm like, "This is where God wants me. This was my lane. This is what God blessed me to do." And the last thing I'll say on that very good question and long answer is, I'm a great MC. I'm a good keynote, and I'm a great speaking coach because I can find things in other people. And that's where I've come to the conclusion that I love. My passion is to get people to be able to tell their story in a better way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I know so many people, including myself, want to enhance that skill. What do you think are some of the biggest things that you see set people back from either being able to speak because of limiting beliefs or just whatever it is that holds them back?
Yeah, so you said the word self-limiting beliefs, and
Yeah.
that was because now I've had 5 group class cohorts. I've been teaching the class weekly on Wednesdays, which is kind of the fun group. I call it Toastmasters on steroids. But what I've noticed out of people is, funny enough, the bulk of my clientele is female, probably like 75%. So especially on the female side, they're they have been trained that their voice kind of matters their whole entire life. Don't be too loud, you'll be labeled something. Don't be too
Mhm.
whatever. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of self-limiting beliefs that come with silence. And when they start to feel comfortable with just speaking, there's a new level of kind of, oh, this feels good. I like the ability to speak in front of people and to kind of feel like the spotlight's on me, when in all reality they've been told, don't let the spotlight be, it's not about you. It's not about
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And then the next level is your trauma and your stories and what you've been through make when you are able to share that comfortably, this is male or female, when you're able to share that comfortably, it unlocks not just speaking on the stage. My initial thought was, I'm making speakers better speakers. That's what I wanted it for. And then I realized it wasn't that at all. There was people that never thought about being on a stage, never cared to be. But once they were able to share their story, they all of a sudden became this person that was like, "Oh, like I could do pretty much anything. If I can share my story, speak in front of people, if I can
Wow.
overcome that, what could I
Yeah.
not do?" You know?
Yeah. That's amazing. because that's such a big fear for people. And so just learning that skill just unlocks, yeah,
A
being,
lot.
I mean, it's like, it's so healing being
Yeah.
able to
Can,
really, yeah.
I'm going to tell you something funny. Like one of the unintended side effects, and this is actually hilarious, is one person in the comments, I was looking for recommendations. I was like, hey, can we get a group, of stuff? Cause I want to put this for my next class. And she goes, I got really sick and tired of hiding in sweatpants my whole life. And this is a 60 plus woman. I got sick and tired of hiding in sweatpants my whole life. I went and bought my first pair of shorts in decades. So I was like, that's awesome. And then somebody else in the thing goes, that's hilarious. After I took the class, I bought, and she wore very modest shorts, like below the knee type shorts person. She goes, this is for the first time in my life. I bought the shortest shorts I've ever bought. And when I say shorter, it's like 3 or 4 inches higher than those were. But I'm like, is this a unintended side effect that all of a sudden you have this confidence of like, I am
Yes.
tired of the world making me feel like I have to hide something about myself. And that all can come from actually embracing your voice, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah, that is so fascinating. It's so amazing. It must feel so good to be able to help people overcome, their traumas, essentially, all
Yeah.
the things that they've gone through and have to bring it back up and then create a story out of it. It's like you're just unlocking kind of shame and secrecy into this is who I am and this is
Right.
what, and just take
Yeah.
it or leave it and all the amazing things that happen. So how would you incorporate God into your business these days? I don't know if it's something that you know, are big in that particular course, and or if it's just something that's a part of your personal life.
Yeah, so I'm half Jewish, half Italian, and my mom, as I had a febrile seizure when I was very young, so she converted to Christianity. She was the Jewish side. So I've been Christian my whole life. But my walk has always been I've never fallen into the agnostic or atheist category, but there's been long periods of time where it's like I pray once in a while, I don't really want to go to church. And then that started to shift definitely in the last couple years. And for my daily truth in the last several months, which is the thing that you mentioned in the beginning of the little podcast I do
Yeah.
every day, is I've started to realize that I enjoy inserting just a little bit of scripture, a little bit of biblical messaging, whether it's 2 or 3 times a week or like 50% of the videos typically lend to itself. I am one of those that started watching the Chosen about a year ago, like catching
Mhm.
up on it. And it gave me, I think one of the biggest fears I had was I didn't know scripture very well.
Mhm.
And not that the Chosen is super accurate, but I'm an analytical brain. So when I see stuff, I go research it more. And learning the true history of Jesus and the disciples and how that went. And there was one line in one of the first season or so where Jesus was talking about storytelling and how that ties us together. And it's like there's a huge biblical message in what I'm doing, which
Yeah.
is when we share our stories, that's how we connect to each other. And I would say, funny enough, most of the people that have gone through my programs do have a strong faith in God. And there's one of my favorite students is atheist agnostic somewhere in there, and watching her journey and just the class that she was in so happened to have the most amount of like vocal Christians. I'm like, my mission is to help all of these people,
Mhm. Yeah.
but I would love, and she's still very close to me. I would love to see her at one point go, you know what? There's something about this Jesus thing that you're talking about. So I feel as though the mission behind sharing people's voice and who they are is a big, oh, I didn't mean to do that. As my hand went up, is a really big deal when it comes to storytelling. So I've used it as a guiding principle, and working with Cody, and working with the Christian Entrepreneurship Club, which is how we met, is
Yeah.
such a has been such a guide to really start to say, all right, God, what is next for my business? What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And provisions come when it does.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. Well, it sounds like you offer an opportunity for people to just kind of dip their toes in and hear other people's stories and not get flooded with it, but just watch what happens when you do incorporate more faith into your life and your business and your stories, and just kind of get to be that light for other people. So I'm sure that's a really good community. And that's obedience, that's what
Yeah.
God calls you to do. It doesn't have to be like in your face, but you're bringing people to Jesus just because you're just being a little bit obedient.
Super. I
Yeah.
mean, the obedience comes from the fact that, and this is when and again, this is when things started to pick up from the speaking side and the teaching side. Is first off, as I said, I'm terrible at sales. Like I want to give way too much away for free. So I'm like, just it's fine, just comment and whatever. But what I'm realizing is on the back end, God will provide in one way or another, even if it's another MC gig for gosh knows how much money or whatever it is. But when I give, I realize more comes to me. And what I'm doing with it is helping people. When you tell your story, the target avatar of my clients are always the people that are trying to teach the 20-year-old version of themselves or 20 years ago version of themselves. And a lot
Yeah.
of that involves faith. So it's like when they can unlock the story in themselves and they're able to share it with people, and sharing that faith, it allows them to better share their testimony. Because ultimately, a lot of the people that have come to me are like, I'm blessed to be here. God's got me. I've made it this far. God's placed me, whether there's a 70-year-old in my class, like God has placed me here right now for this purpose, and it's not too late for my life. And if they can reach out to somebody else and there's that ripple effect, to me, that is the best way that I can live in favor of the gifts that God provided for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. In your journey, you clearly had a gift to speak and you've refined it over time. Is there anything that you feel like God really helped you with in that process, or maybe something completely different, unrelated, but has still helped you grow in
Well, what
your?
I'll say is God, and I don't know if this is necessarily even what God has helped me with, but whatever. It could be. I think it's important to be able to relate to people, and people will look
Mhm.
at me that has ice in my veins when it comes to being in front of a group of 5,000 people, and you give me a microphone, I don't care. Like I'm good, ready to go. But I have a terrible short-term memory. So it's like there's certain things that I am not blessed with that allows me to be relatable. I used to joke about the fact I don't know why once in a while I play the lottery when it's in $1 billion, because God's mission for my life is to not do it the easy way. If I got it the easy way, how am I going to go ahead and mentor people or minister to people? Be like, trust me, if you work hard, you'll get there someday. It's like, dude, you won the lottery. So
Yeah.
it's the same concept with my speaking. So the fact that I really do, I still sometimes carry a sheet, most of the time, will carry a sheet of paper with Fox Big Noon Kickoff. I've been introducing the same hosts for 5 years, 7 years now. But just in case I have that paper, because when I do names, I will forget them instantly. When it comes to speaking on a stage, I'll speak with some bullet points. But if I have to memorize a 3-minute script, no chance.
Yeah.
Like I know the lion said to the dragon, I know my limitations.
Yeah.
And if I was blessed with a photographic memory, if I was blessed with the ability to just completely look at a sheet of paper and know exactly what it says, I'm not going to relate to a lot of people. I'm
Yeah.
not going to have that genuine connection with speakers that are afraid of speaking, can't remember things, all that stuff. So that lack, that um, that inability that God blessed me with is the way that I can not just speak, because I could probably be a better speaker with that memorization, but I'm not going to be able to mentor people. I'm not going to be able to live in the spirit and live in my mission and my passion, because people will be like, well, this guy's got it too easy. It's unfair.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
think that's if that and that's a diverted way of answering that question.
Sure. Well, you just can't have it all, Anthony. You can't have it all.
I've got the
You
mustache
got the
already.
mustache
That's
and
yeah.
the great. Yeah, you get. No, it reminds me of, various stories in the Bible, like Moses, where God called him, but he wasn't perfect, and he was like, "I can't speak. I stutter. Like, how am I supposed to speak in front of everybody?" And that God's like, "It's fine. We'll make it work. Like, first your brother will do it, and then we'll just, help you heal that over time and give you your confidence and all that." So. I think all of us have something we have to work on, but it's
Right.
good to know that all of it can be worked on. We don't have
Right.
to come into it perfect, that we take that first step, God will help heal the rest, and good coaches will help heal the rest,
Yeah.
and then we'll get somewhere, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah.
And coaches for anything that we do, I consider myself super blessed to be a part of the group that you and I are both a part of, with Cody, and seeing that when you really lean into the idea that God is in charge, not just of your life, because we've been taught that since kids, like God's in charge of your life, God's in charge of your life, and then you get to that, all right, you're an entrepreneur, you work 20 hours a day, there is no substitutes, you go crush it, and it's about you.
Yeah.
There is an exhaustion that comes with that, but what I've learned in the group that we're in is kind of releasing that. You still are working your derriere off. You're still working hard. But when you start to have a different driving factor and realize that there's a certain path that you may not see right now, and you wake up in the morning and have faith with it and pray with it and spend time with God, there's going to be things come at you. And it's a cool thing as an entrepreneur when you're led in faith,
Yeah.
that when things come at you, instead of it bogging you down, you start to realize that this started the engagement. Let's go. Like, this is where God is going to fight on my side, and the devil is fighting on the other side when things start to go wrong. So the closer you get, the more stuff that happens to you. So it's a little bit more of it becomes a fun game to know that you're like, it's a sports game. You're playing
Yeah.
sports. You're
Yeah.
playing sports against the devil, and it's like, this is the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. This is your chance, and you've got the best bench. Technically, you've got the best quarterback. You're the bench, but it's one of those ones. It almost gamifies entrepreneurialism and life, to know that if you're using him to lead your steps, it's going to work out in the end.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I love the game analogy. So true. It's like do you know who's batting for you? God's batting for you, but you definitely need to at least participate
Right.
to be able to have him do that for you. So, what do you do? What's something that you do to make sure that you're always staying connected to God?
Well, I'm imperfect. There's a couple days like they'll go and be like, oh, I forgot to do this, or I forgot to look at scripture. Honestly, my daily truth is my accountability. Where I set out like 2.5 years ago to start doing daily things, um, and daily lives, daily videos, and it allows me to ground myself a little bit. One little thing, that's a big difference is, when we see somebody that's going through something on social media, and you're like, sending you prayers, thoughts and prayers, um, actually doing it.
Yeah.
And somebody else, it's funny, somebody posted the other day, like, as this is a suggestion, I saw them post that. And I go, honestly, I started doing that 6 months ago. And when I see something that somebody needs a prayer, somebody lost an animal, lost a loved one, going through a cancer battle, I will stop what I'm doing for 20 seconds, and I'll say, sending you prayers, click, 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 and then take a second, pray for them. And since so many people go through struggles, it happens multiple times a day. Oddly enough, as small as that sounds, it grounds me, because I think God's like, all right, you're playing this along with me. Like, you're in it to win it in terms of helping other people. So I think that's a big ground for me. And I love running. I know, super weird. I'm like 6'2", 215 pounds, and I am a runner. Where that came from, I have no idea. But it allows me to clear my head, and I've made a big shift into listening to, either daily prayer or Christian music when I'm running. And that's my time with God. Some people meditate, some
Yeah.
people mine is when I'm jogging most mornings. So that's been
Yeah,
a big
that's
shift.
good. That's
Yeah.
really good. Yeah, partnering what you're already doing sometimes is really helpful. Stacking those habits. You're already into running, then that's a good time to step into prayer. And I love the actual praying thing. Something I've been mindful of too, just because I'm actually more of a new kind of believer and would do the same thing, but now trying to be really intentional and be a better prayer and interceding a lot more. So I like that. And just doing it every time, it actually feels like, you're not just being obedient to God, but that almost you are praying for a purpose. It's like you're putting yourself into the bigger kingdom, and that prayer is going to actually do something. And if we all did it, like just imagine what would happen if everyone was actually stopping and praying. So that's
There
awesome.
is
Yeah.
massive power in prayer. And
Yeah.
it's funny. I've not thought about this in a long time. I'm being dead serious. Like I haven't thought about it, but I've always realized that I had a massive, that's funny. I've not thought about this in a long time. I realized at a young age how much power there was in prayer. And there was a couple times growing up, I grew up pretty poor, free lunch program type kid. And I remember one time I prayed when my mom's car wouldn't start. And I was in the house and she couldn't make it to school or where she was going. She became a chiropractor. And I prayed like crazy inside. And my mom came inside. She goes, I don't know how, but it just started. Forgot about that. And then there was one
Nice.
other time where every day after school, this is a weird story. There was one apartment we lived at. Every day after school, something would happen when I'd be like taking my like afternoon nap after practices or whatever, and the TV would go to static. Shh, every time, somewhere around the same time. Super weird. And I'm like, I got the heebie-jeebies. There's something in this house. And one day, as a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, the other one was I was younger. I was probably like 9 or 10, and I was 13 or 14, and I just started praying, and I was like casting out the demon, like in the name of Jesus, get out of this house, blah blah blah. And the TV shut off, and the blinds smacked across the house. I'll
Oh,
never forget. And it was like, whoa. Oh, and at the time, I had cats growing up. I'm a dog guy now. I had a cat that would stop coming in my room. He would sleep in my bed, and then he stopped. I'm like,
oh,
something, there is a
wow.
dark energy in here. And when that happened, that night, my cat jumped up on my bed, and the TV never conked out. I forgot all
Wow.
about this. Wild. So, anyways, so yeah, I do
Yeah.
think there is power. There's massive power in prayer, especially when you truly believe that your prayers will be answered one way or another.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, those are great stories. Now you got to use those stories in your
I
future
know.
speeches. Like, I
I honestly
remember those
haven't
good
thought about
ones.
those in years. So that was wild.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit more about your podcast. Okay.
So it's funny. I've been doing the Daily Truth. I'm probably on episode 400 or 500. I just started putting them back up on the podcast networks, but it was something I said, all right, I'm gonna every morning at 8 a.m., which it's no longer every morning at 8 a.m., but it's sometime through the day for the most part when I'm not traveling. And I'm going to give the truth, motivational. It was a very business minded at first. It was some of the things that I go through and thoughts on occasion, because I used to do a lot of political stuff, and I started to avoid that a little bit um, for business purposes. But I always try to inject a little bit of truth into whatever aspect of our life. And a lot of it in the last year and a half has been very guided towards the power of using your voice, the power of speaking. So it guides people into a little bit more about what I do. On occasion, there'll be current event type stuff, but it was supposed to be the truth in 5 minutes or less. It's anywhere from 7 to 15 minutes a day for the most part. And it's just me. I've done podcast shows with groups of people, and I typically am the quarterback of those, where we did something called The Truth Will Set You Free. That was kind of the brand, and that was a political show. So this broke it down as the truth, my daily truth. That's
Yeah.
the way it goes.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's great. So this has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm really excited to do your speech webinar. So can you tell the audience a little bit
Yeah,
about what you're offering them today?
absolutely. So we have one about a day a month, and it's easy to find. It is a 1 hour webinar that's not interactive, because I do a lot of interactive stuff. That's where a lot of the real work comes in. But about an hour, 45 minutes or so of me pouring into the basics of how to start using your voice, why your voice is important. A lot of the things that I kind of touched on here, I go into detail of. Start sharing your story, start going online. There's a lot of terrible stuff that we see on a daily basis, or clickbait or scroll bait or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Be a producer instead of a consumer of positive content. If you've got a
Yeah.
message that you want to share with people, even if 3 people hear it, who cares? Get it out there, and it's fulfilling to you to release that, and there's going to be that one person you touch. And trust me, you'll be surprised if you have faith that it's going to the right person. I've gotten messages where I gave simple daily truths, and people reached out and was like, "You have no idea. I was about to take my life, or I'm going through a divorce. I'm going through a tough time." And that random little message, you
Yeah.
don't know how important that could be. So I kind of teach that. I motivate people to see that, and then I give away something at the end, which is a fun little chat bot where people will build a personal introduction of themselves and how they can introduce themselves. So you just got to come. So, oh,
Nice.
it's easy to
Yeah.
find it. Ask me, Natalie. I don't know how you're going to keep me at the 30-minute mark, but we're about to wrap. Uh, getbetteratspeaking.com. I don't know how I
Mhm.
got that domain. No idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Simple to find in order to sign up for that free webinar. And I know you'll put it on the link too, but it's just
Yeah.
getbetteratspeaking.com.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I definitely encourage everyone to check it out. I am doing it. So I think it's such an important skill to be able to speak. And I mean, it's so true. You have such impact when you can share your message, whether it is on a reel or just speaking to somebody you meet at the grocery store. I mean, it could be any way, but just being able to articulate, it has so much power and impact. So, absolutely going to do it. You guys will all find the link right underneath this video, as well as in your email that you got today introducing Anthony. So, jump on that. So, thank you so much for being here and sharing us all of your wisdom about speaking and about life. It was awesome having you here.
It was my pleasure, Natalie. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So again, everyone jump on his freebie, check him out. Again, say your website one more time. Yeah.
Getbetteratspeaking.com.
Yes, nice. That's so awesome. I love it. So everyone come back tomorrow. We're going to have some more speakers. We're going to have some speakers knocking it out of the park again. And you just, giving us amazing revelation about the power of partnering with God in your business. So we'll see you tomorrow. I'm just going to end with saying, remember that you are blessed to build, called to serve, and grace to prosper. Thanks for showing up today, everyone. And get on partnering with God. And we'll see you tomorrow.